Right off the bat, this was not a movie I was really looking forward to. I'll be honest. This had the kind of style and tone and humor of something I wouldn't really like normally. I wouldn't really like. The first 10 minutes, too, I don't find that fun or interesting or funny. It's these two girls. Let's set this up, actually. Let's set up the movie. We should actually set up the movie. There's two main characters, two lesbian girls who just want to get laid. And that's the essential premise and the reason why everything gets kicked off the way it does. They roll up to this fair, and they're having fun. They're like, ooh, we're going to meet somebody. Yeah. And then two of the love interests walk up to them, Isabel and Brittany, and they just immediately start going into this weird shtick routine.
I am loving all the holes in your pants.
And then it hard cuts into football players showing up, and it feels all jumbly and disconnected. But it does round it out nicely by the catalyst being the main football star quarterback, Jeff, and his girlfriend, Isabel, kind of going through a thing. And then Isabel gets in the car with these two, and they kind of bump his leg, and they face expulsion for injuring the star quarterback of their high school. So they start a fight club and pretend that they are just practicing self-defense. That's the story. That's essentially this movie in a big nutshell for you. The improv is the weakest element next to the editing, which we can talk about. I just don't love improv in comedies. I think you have to have both a very talented actor and a very talented director/editor to make it work. Because if you're doing improv, you need to have the improv still fit in the scene and fit with the character you're playing. And a lot of times, improv just doesn't do either. Sometimes it makes one, but it doesn't make the other. And that's why I don't love it. And here, that problem persists through the entire runtime. And it's so obvious when it's happening because, again, the camera just sits in place. And a lot of the visual flair that the rest of the movie has is just gone. The movie's shot on these great anamorphic lenses, great widescreen presentation, and there's some really fun little camera movements that it's attempting to. There's some great crane shots, there's awesome push-in shots for when things are revealed to characters, and I like the look of it. But as soon as we get into improv, all of that flair is gone because we just have to let the actors do their thing in front of a lockdown camera. It's so dull.
Yes, please,
a lot of what's on the script, or what seems to be on the script, is really good. I like this script a lot, actually. I think the structure of it is incredibly solid. It's like a spoofing an early 2000s high school rom-com, but taking it seriously. It's essentially a fairy tale. Nothing really matters, nothing really makes sense, but nothing really has to either. And that makes for a very big and messy movie that has a good through line that can carry you from start to finish. It is a messy movie, though, improv notwithstanding. It's a movie that a lot of characters are talking about a lot of different things, and only some of them kind of pay off. There's this gay Yoda they talk about, and you never meet her. You only hear about her in one line of dialogue, and then all of a sudden she just shows up in the movie. You have a character who just screams. Yes, please, and they never mention the fact that this opposing high school that's coming to play them in the homecoming game actually is murdering people, and they didn't mention that until the last 20 minutes of the movie, and then immediately they had to go stop them from murdering people. Would have been nice to know that they were murdering people earlier, but they didn't because they probably just thought of it at that moment. It's messy. It's a messy movie, and the editing reflects this too. There's a lot of sequences that are just poorly edited. There's one in particular that sticks out every time I see it, being twice now, which is they go to this, like, car wash, and they're selling their underwear, and it's funny, and it's charming, but then they're having kind of this improv-y moment. I don't know if it's actually improv. It seems like it might be, but maybe not. They're having this moment chatting between the two. Josie and PJ are two leads, and there's a girl named Hazel, and she's behind them, and then she squats on the ground and starts making, like, noises for a minute straight, and it keeps cutting to her on the ground, and then it will cut back to the two talking in just a side-by-side wide, which is the improv part of it, and then it will cut back to her on the ground, probably to hide an edit, and then come back to them still improving, and we're just hiding edits, and it keeps cutting to her, and it's so awkward and stilted, and then they go, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "Well, my mom was sleeping with Jeff, the high school quarterback." And then the exact next scene is just Isabel and Josie on a date. It's just so, like, it's like somebody pounding keys on a piano, and occasionally they strike a note that's really nice, but occasionally it just like clunk. The gay Yoda scene is another one. It's the third act low point. Everybody hates each other because of things that happen, which we can maybe talk about. And Josie's kicking this can down a dirt road, and it's this great wide shot showing her isolated. She's kicking this can all alone, and it kind of revolves around, and then you don't see anything. You hear, like, "Hey, girl, what you doing?" And she goes, "Oh, hey, gay Yoda," or whatever her name is. And then it cuts to what looks like a completely different area at a different time of day. And she just walks up to this trailer, which is presumably in the middle of the woods where she just was, but it doesn't look like the middle of the woods. It's just awkward. It's like, it's that moment where just we hit a flat note in a really nice chord.
Just practicing for a self-defense club.
So it's like a fight club?
Yes.
I loved Rachel Sennott in this, who is a co-writer. And damn, awesome script. And Charlie XCX did the music. Where'd she come from? The music's great. It's thumping. It's synth heavy. It's really aggressive, and it fits the tone of this movie super well, which overall has a very aggressive tone from the get-go. People are shouting. People are yelling constantly.
Yes, queen!
And it's very in your face. It's very R-rated. They're constantly swearing. It gets violent. Especially near the end, it gets very violent in a way that was fun, even though the CG blood, didn't love it. More negatives. We need to get off these. I love these performances, though. I think the two leads, Josie and PJ, carry the movie. Their chemistry is infectious. Their dry and sarcastic delivery is incredible. I love the tone that they put down on the movie. I think the tone is fantastic, and it never really takes itself that seriously. Even in the bleak moments, there is still a good amount of humor that it's throwing at you, whether that's through Marshawn Lynch being one of the funniest guys in this movie, or gay Yoda showing up and having some fun banter. There's good stuff even in the bleak moments. It keeps it pretty light and loose. There's times late in the movie when the high schools are beating the shit out of each other, when it could just be like colors and noise. But everybody, you know who they are. Okay, this girl's over here, Brittany's doing this, and they're here, they're that. The editing's not great. There's a weird shot that's kind of slow motion where the girl's in the middle of the frame, but all the action's happening behind her, so you can't really see anything that's happening. It's very awkward. Why did you shoot it like that? There's so many movies in the modern era that are these improv-heavy things that are so lowbrow. They're just like dumb fart boner jokes, and this does have some of those jokes, some kind of lowbrow, we're gonna finger her type of jokes, but it does raise above that to a degree too, with both the comedy and how it plays that comedy. I loved that this has reality seep into things. I love that it's a fairy tale very clearly because of how over the top everything is. I mean, the football players never take their pads off. They're wearing cleats and full uniforms in the school, in class, which class is like 5 minutes long. There's like a guy in a cage in the background. The football players have not just a desk, but basically a throne they sit on. Marshawn Lynch just writes the quizzes on the blackboard and says the answers are A, B, or C. Like, feminism, is it made by a woman or a man or another woman? That's class. It's over the top. It's fairy tale, and I love that logic. I love this is nonsense logic. It's like SpongeBob humor. That's my jam. But I do love the moments when reality seeps in a little bit, too. There's this awesome moment later on when Josie's hooking up with Isabel because they're finally falling in love. It's everything that she ever wanted. And then it cuts to PJ trying to hook up with Brittany, and she goes in for the kiss. She kisses her for a minute, and then Brittany goes, "I'm straight. Sorry, like, I apologize for maybe leading you on. And PJ's like, yeah, I shouldn't have assumed. That's a great moment of reality seeping into this fantasy. And there's a lot of moments like that. It's basically a cartoon. 95% of this movie is a cartoon, and then the 5% is kind of the characters waking up to the fact that they're in a cartoon. It's kind of an interesting commentary on life itself. Life itself is stupid, nonsensical, and over the top at times, and we just accept it. And slowly, through other people, through relationships, through connections, and through just seeing through the bullshit, we can maybe wake up to our cartoonish, crazy lives. And I like that kind of underlying subtext of this. I'm not sure if it's completely intentional or unintentional. I don't know. But I liked that. I like that there's enough here to draw from. And I like that it does leave a lot vague, even if it makes for a bit of a messy movie. There's a lot here that you can just kind of infer. It leaves up to the audience, and that's fun. There's a lot of really fun stuff hidden in this movie.
Isabel, Josie was just saying something similar to me.
I don't think so.
I think so. It was really good. It was super funny.
You were skinny too as well.
We're at a really interesting time for filmmaking, I would think, especially in the year of our Lord 2023. There's been some complete dud shit this year. Flash, The Blue Beetle, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Who gives a flying fuck? If you love those movies, that's cool. Like, I don't care. You can love what you want. If you like The Flash, that's fine. I know a lot of people that like The Flash. But these movies aren't real movies. They are in the literal sense, but they're just products for a corporation.
He could see that it was getting what he was doing.
So much is safe and beta tested and alpha tested and audience tested and producer tested and then dumped in the audience with all the rough edges smoothed away. And Bottoms comes out with all those edges everywhere. And it doesn't make for a completely 100% satisfying, amazing film, but it makes for something that is genuinely fun, genuinely rewatchable, and genuinely has great merit to it. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I had a riot with it both times, and I am hoping that it makes money, and I'm hoping that we can get more weird shit. Because it is weird. R-rated movies like this just don't exist anymore. And I want more of them. Please, let weird things get made again. I like it. Go see it. Let's make some money for this Bottoms movie. I know I can do so much with my 100 people that'll watch this.